Hello, welcome back everyone. Hope you're doing quite well. Mr. Minority here with what may be, at least for now, sad day. The final Heroscape tier list ranking. So. Kind of a bit of a different thing here. Before it was a little more, cut and dry in terms of waves, large waves, that sort of things, those kind of expansions. Now, got kind of a little bit of a motley assortment of stuff. Basically, all the terrain packs, and I went ahead and included Fortress of the Archkyrie, right? So I could have, if I did more like kind of terrain exclusive stuff, included, stuff from the Master Set, 1 and 2, the generic stuff, and then the Swamp stuff as well, and maybe even done some of the Underdark. I actually did have Master Set 3 for a little while, along with maybe even Marvel, the Marvel set, etc, etc. But maybe that's a video for another time. Right now I'm not going to do that, but now I'm going to kind of do a mix of both the terrain and the army cards, if you can kind of process that. Hoo-hoo, apples and oranges sort of thing. So, it's been a nice journey. Let's take the final step on the last leg, shall we? We'll start with the Dominative Guard, which he's okay. We always, he's always the butt of our jokes when we were, putting together our huge armies. He's okay. I think you could have gone a little bit more forest-y with the, Road to the Forgotten Forest kind of a themed figure, but it's still pretty good, the kind of guarding the bridge sort of idea. Pretty decent overall in terms of, stats for the points and whatever. Obviously, you're not going to be able to, turn the tide of battle necessarily, but, if you got 25 points, you got Road hanging around, okay, and maybe also if you have something like the Anubian Wolves, it's pretty decent. So, Anyway, overall, place him in the mid-tier. It's the only larger figure that we have for the terrain, so it's a little unique, and also the only hero as opposed to a squad. So unique in several ways, but I would put it B-tier. So the Obsidian Guards, I'm going to put them higher, definitely, but I'm still going to put them in the B-tier. I should have probably said this off with the introduction, and this is really, there are so many things that make Heroscape, and this is one of the signature things, right? This is what I'd say be in the top 5, and that is the terrain. The amount of choices, the number of choices you can do, the scope of the choices, and, it can really affect it, and it really makes a huge difference, and this is one of those, right? If you had a board, which there aren't many out there, it's not very likely, but you had a board, say that was, 80, 90%, lava or lava field, then these guys would be, a lot more up to consideration. As is, if for the most part they are not, they are just extremely slow, they will be shot down, that sort of thing. Once they get up to you, they're pretty good, they're pretty good. They're very good, for melee. They got, great defense and great attack. It's just getting up to you to attack you is the troublesome part of it. They won't be getting anywhere fast unless you got some teleportation or other kind of movement assisted things, assisted abilities, glyphs, whatever have you. These guys aren't going to be doing a whole heck of a lot, especially for 100 points. So, but I like the design. This is where I think again. Maybe a little bit less than the Dominative Guard, but with them they're a little bit more obviously tied with their terrain, literal lava pieces or whatever you want to call it. So pretty cool. I'm probably gonna mispronounce this. Desertu. I kind of float between. I'll put them in B tier for now, just to be a little bit more conservative. But I like them. If I were to place them in the A tier, they'd be very low A tier. They're pretty thematic. Again, you got the Yeti sort of thing going on with their ice and snow theme. They're a lot more reasonably priced. They're very similar to the Volcarren, Wasteland guards of but they're 25 less points. And then again, they've got some of the movement stuff that is associated, or some of the abilities associated with their terrain, which is kind of nice. And that's one thing that would be nice if there were a lot more figures that did have something to do with terrain. Maybe even like a marker on them where it wasn't called out, but they had like, they were an ice type or something like that, and there's a little marker, kind of like, you know, the superhero strength sort of thing, or the flying marker or whatever, things of that nature. So you didn't have to, you know, use a whole ability on it, where either with lava or with ice, that sort of thing. But anyway, just an idea. Pretty good overall. Again, nothing gonna be life-changing or anything, but maybe a little bit more life-changing elixir than, say, the Obsidian Guards. So now we get to the fire-like spiders, which I have a picture of one right here. No, this is this is the spider which my sister gave me. Thank you very much. I'm gonna put them in A tier, because wouldn't you know, I like spiders. I do like spiders. I grew up, you know, I think I may have mentioned this in passing with Sujoa. Really, lots of animals, but insects in particular. Having a backyard and all, which sounds like such a blessing right now. I know, anyway. And being able, you know, to experience that, was very intrigued, invested in the 6- and 8-legged and other legged critters as well. So I actually only very recently got them. I don't think I've really gotten to play with them too much. They're pretty decent overall in terms of, they're only worth 40 points, right? And they're more of kind of the shield and distract sort of thing, and to bond with Shujo, which I do not have, so I can't comment on, you know, how viable that particular pairing would be. But it sounds like a decent one, just pricey, again, because of Shujo is pretty pricey with that 185. But pretty decent. I like this to start the aesthetic. Unfortunately, again, Heroscape was discontinued shortly thereafter, so we didn't really get to see the Aquila faction fleshed out that much, especially in terms of you know, insects, but other areas as well that they could have done. So new general, again, I think this is the only Aquila that I'm actually formally reviewing. So it's interesting. I don't know if we really needed a whole nother general after the 5. It's okay if we do, but I don't know if Aquila was really merited. But one thing, if nothing else, I really do like the card design with the the kind of the purple and the yellow. Really nice card design as well. But anyway, it's always cool to get more content. But again, you're kind of thinking, oh, maybe we could do this, we could do that. It's okay. But so those are the cards. Now we're moving on to the terrain. Road to the Forgotten Forest, we're gonna put in the solid A tier. I would say, especially in light of what came after it, it's a little light on the number of tiles, and maybe even number of trees, and pretty basic. The bridge is okay. It's, again, pretty basic, especially once we see what you can do with Fortress of the Archkyrie. But this is our introduction to road. We got some nice sculpts with the trees. They're pretty solid, you know, coniferous, what's the specific term? Trees, pine trees, that sort of thing. So this is where, again, you really just start to distinguish it from a lot of other games. Obviously, there's many things, but you just, you know, kind of glance over, and all of a sudden you see, whoa, lots of, you know, things that stick out on the terrain. This is one of them, a bunch of trees that you could put in the forest. So pretty good. You could get even taller trees, but this is a good start, and I would put it in the solid A tier. In terms of what road does, you know, it makes sense adding to movement if they start on it, 3 movement. So pretty good mechanic. Again, because there's not a whole lot of tiles here, you can't really utilize that a whole lot. Kind of fixed, you know, with multiple sets, but then obviously also with the Fortress of the Archkyrie, which we'll get to. We're making a lot of references to that. Volcarren Wasteland. I'm gonna put this one up here. It's pretty good, but I would say it's just not very usable, and for obvious reasons, right? I mean, you have to have, when you think of the main things in terms of main terrains that Earth has before getting super creative and doing other terrains that Earth does not have, you got to hit the main marks, right? And lava is like, you know, a very, very low hanging fruit. However, it's obviously something that most warriors would not be able to survive. So having this on the battlefield, while it does look very cool, you can see, you know, kind of right here how it's popping out against that dark background. It's very, very, you know, eye-catching. It is, you know, like the insects, which are, you know, typically very eye-catching, are very poisonous. It is something you want to avoid, unless you're like Brunak or the Obsidian Guards. It is very sparingly used, right? Unfortunately, so it's kind of, it's a double-edged sword. You know, I really like it, but at the same time, you can't really use it a whole lot. I have had, I think once, I might have mentioned this in the Ragnars's Vision video, where Jotun did throw someone to the lava. I think that happened once, so that was pretty fun. But again, you typically don't see it, especially in large quantities. You might see a little bit here and there, but if you're trying to do an actual, you know, board, which is going to be trying to be fair for both sides and whatever have you, you're not going to see a lot of it. So it's nice and it's not nice at the same time. So Thaelenk Tundra, man, this was like a Ragnar's Vision for me in terms of its, it was the treasure that I could not obtain for multiple reasons. First, it was very scarce. Second, eventually it was just very pricey. I'm going to put this in S tier. You know, I've lived in multiple places in my life, but the most places I've lived in, and especially in terms of for duration, length of time, have not had snow. So I kind of grew up with, you know, not a whole lot of snow around the winter time, and so it was a yearning for me. So this was about as wide of a Christmas as I was gonna get. So I got this a little more recently, but it is a really fun set. It's really kind of slows down the battle. It makes you think a little bit more about what you're gonna do, because of, you know, you can't get to where you need to as fast, generally speaking. But if you do heavy snow, if you do light snow, then whatever. But it's pretty interesting. I like the design, and in terms of the smaller terrain sets, this one is the most bang for your buck, at least in terms of amount of tiles, the number of tiles, that sort of thing. I also really liked that they came with these in some of the later waves as well. They came with like 2 double hex tiles. That was also pretty cool for snow and that sort of thing. Obviously, kind of same thing to the Volcarren Wasteland set. This one really pops and you know, kind of draws eyes when you have a large battle. But this one is not as dangerous. So this one is nice because you can add a lot of snow and a lot of glacier with impunity, right? You're not going to necessarily have guys dying right and left just because they step on it, you know, an ice tile or whatever. So it's nice. And for that and many other reasons, I put in the S tier. It's just really nice. Again, any of the terrain that they come out with is, you know, it's a nice addition, welcome addition, but the more kind of the ways it distinguishes itself, not necessarily just in the mechanics, but especially in the aesthetic, it's all for me. Okay, so this is the creme de la creme. This would be the S of the S tier. It even might be, you know, very much on par with Ragnar's Vision. And it doesn't have that mystique that Ragnar's Vision had for me, because I was able, when I was you know, a kiddo, to my parents were able to get 2 of these, so it was nice that not just to get only 1 but 2. If there is anything that is more iconic, well, let me rephrase that. Is there anything more iconic for Heroscape board building than a massive castle board? Massive castle map. Is there anything more fun, not in terms of putting it away, but in terms of building and then looking at it? The castles. The castle, for me, really well defined what the upper limit of what Heroscape could do. Before, you know, with Road to the Forgotten Forest and some of these others, there was, you know, some speculation on my end. It's like, okay, well, there's here, you can do this, you can do that. But as soon as Castle came out, that just opened the door to so many other things. You can do so many other things like, you know, cathedral, pyramid, in Age of Annihilation. I think it's unfortunately a little bit too close to castle, but you know, it's skyscraper, you know, futuristic skyscrapers, ruins, and I'm not talking about like, you know, ruins from the Master Set one. I'm talking about like full blown like temple ruins or something. You know, it just really opened up the door. Speaking of the castle door, which is difficult to open. And this set, it really stands out for me like that. Just one of the best sets. The quality is also really, really good. I know there are some complaints eventually after, you know, 5, 10 plus years, 15 more or so, depending on when you got yours. They do kind of break eventually because unlike the other tiles, these ones are pretty tough. And and when I say that, I mean like they don't snap together, but relative to all the other pieces, they snap together. They're very solid when you put them together, and that makes sense because you can literally build a castle like that one right there, pick it up, move it to another part of the board, and then it'll stay all intact. Whereas before, you can't pick up a whole Heroscape board and put it all together because the pieces are just kind of, you know, they almost kind of lay next to each other, but they don't snap. I'm using such technical engineering terms here, I know. So yeah, it's a little bit of a knock against it, but it's, you know, it's years, decade later or so. So, you know, it is what it is. But such a good set. And again, because of this set, it set the bar so high. So then all of a sudden, now my expectation of Heroscape, I guess now that, you know, Age of Annihilation may be coming out and other, you know, stuff with Renegade, hopefully, has been set higher. If this set had not come out, my expectation for some Heroscape stuff would be a little lower. Obviously, it's very high, especially in terms of design of characters and all that, but in terms of the terrain and what they can do, it's really high up there. So, Ticalla Jungle, I'm going to be honest with you, I think this is a little bit of a step back from Thaelenk Tundra, but it's really good. It's definitely better than Forgotten Forest. Let me rephrase that. I think it's a little bit better than Forgotten Forest. There are some negatives and there are some positives. I really think this one is lacking in terms of number of tiles. I like the design. I like the bushes, you know, the brush, whatever, and then the jungle pieces, and of course, I really like the squad. But they could have done quite a bit more. They could have given you quite a bit more. I really feel like, again, after Thaelenk Tundra, that there was a decent amount of a step back for this set in terms of amount of content that they provided you. That being said, you know, it's pretty good. I like the idea behind it. Always great to have more terrain options. And yeah, hopefully they will come out with so much more. We'll see. You know, now that Heroscape's back in. So, speaking of the start of a new journey with Heroscape, hopefully within the coming year or so, this particular one is coming to an end. Thanks for joining me, all two of you. I know who watched my video. Self-deprecation and all that. It's been really fun. I really love Heroscape. I'm not, again, an expert player. I barely get in a game or two a year, if even that, depending on, you know, what's happening. But I've just always kept up with it, right? Ever since it came out in 2004. Maybe I may have been a late adopter in 2005, but you know, it's never left me. You know, I've always enjoyed it and had a love for it. So I thought I'd just give this a little bit of a kind of a project out of this enjoyment, because I really like it. And yeah, if you enjoyed this video, I have the rest of the playlist up here. You know, who knows? Maybe one of these, I mean, I want to complete the collection, but one of these days I might be able to complete it and do maybe a ranking for like Wave 4 Xander's Discovery, Wave 9 Black Moon Siege, and then I become a millionaire. No, if I strike it rich with crypto, Aquila's Alliance, the huge or large Wave 3. So. And then I'll add to this playlist. But until then, this is probably going to be the end. There might be some more stuff I think of here and there. And of course, as Renegade hopefully comes out with stuff again, it's probably going to be quite a while. Then I might revisit this because I really like Heroscape and add some of this stuff to it, Age of Annihilation, whatever have you. Yeah, and I guess they're also doing a little quick kind of a meet the team. October 2nd is that, or is it first week of October? So stay tuned for that. So anyway, hope you guys enjoyed it, and I will see you in the next one.